Speaking of the Gulf, along with new diplomatic ties, the Abraham Accords are now also enabling new cultural connections across the region. Now, MAKTOUB is the name of a Hebrew-Arabic calligraphy exhibit in the Jerusalem Biennale that celebrates the work of Israeli artists and Arab artists from the Emirates and manages to find some common creative ground between them. Our Sammy Israel went to check out the exhibit and meet some of the artists behind the work being shown there.
The Abraham Accords is one of the most groundbreaking agreements in Middle Eastern history. While the deal has borne numerous political and diplomatic gains, the lesser-known outcome has come in the form of cultural collaboration. This year, the Jerusalem Biennale, a citywide biannual arts festival, has taken advantage of the new opportunities for creative cooperation in the form of a Hebrew-Arabic calligraphy exhibit entitled MAKTOUB, an Arabic word meaning "it is written." The exhibit was curated by Lenore Mizrahi-Cohen and Shama Meshtali. Lenore is an American-Israeli artist who uses her Syrian Jewish heritage to inspire her work. And Shama is a Moroccan artist based in Dubai who found out later in life that her grandfather was Jewish, a discovery which heavily influenced her life and work. The two powerhouse women not only curated the exhibit, but also contributed as artists themselves.
So in a general sense, when looking at all the works, I tried when curating to invite artists who were really at the top of their field from both countries, because I wanted everyone to be represented in the best possible light. Both of our cultures so venerate the power of the written word. So I wanted to give exposure to artists who not only are very talented and technically capable, but who are also doing interesting, creative, dynamic new things with both scripts.
The MAKTOUB exhibit, while modest in size, is rich in meaning. A deeply layered story lying behind each piece.
I studied international relations and conflict resolution. In the context of where I grew up, it was easier to use art to convey political messages. This is known to everyone as very similar to the Moroccan flag, but instead of the 5-pillar star, I put the 6-pillar star, which we know as the Star of David or the Seal of Solomon, because the Moroccan flag actually had a Star of David instead of a 5-pillar star up until 1927. So here you see the words history, memory, and identity repeated almost as a meditative process, as a healing process in the classical Arabic language, in Tifina, which is the script of the Amazigh community, and in Hebrew.
While it was the power of a signature on the Abraham Accords that allowed for ties between Israel, the UAE, Bahrain, and Morocco, most Middle East nations have yet to sign on.
Actually had a number of artists who reached out to us who wanted to be part of this exhibition, but unfortunately because they came from places that were not part of the Abraham Accords or the peace deals with Israel, so we had some limitations there.
But Shama and Lenore's creative synergy doesn't end at the exhibit. The women also collaborated on a piece in Lenore's studio.
Usually work is presented in the gallery, but in the context of this year's Biennale, which is 4 cubits, personal space, we thought it would be a really interesting idea to welcome another artist into this very personal, contained space and see how it might transform with her addition and how we might work together on an artwork on this theme. The main idea is to take the shared background elements of mine and Shama's stories, which is that we're constantly moving from place to place. I'm a new immigrant to Israel. She also does a lot of traveling through her work and for her studies, and this phenomenon that we both noticed happens in our lives where when we meet new people, we have a chance to retell or reimagine our stories.
While the Abraham Accords may have brought together countries, it is really the individuals of these nations who lead the change. Shama and Lenore have directly manifested that, and if their friendship is any indication, the future of the new Middle East is in our hands, just waiting to be written.